Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? I go by RB, and this is Philly Take with RB. Like always, if you're enjoying the content of the channel, be sure to smash that like button for me. Hit that subscribe if you're new, and ding that notification bell so you're instantly notified whenever I upload or go live. And today, we are back discussing some more Philadelphia 76ers rumors. Now, just about over a week ago, I put out a video talking about Mike D'Antoni and why I think he would not be the right fit for the Philadelphia 76ers in this job candidate pool. But now, after this past week, after Billy Donovan goes to the Chicago Bulls, it kind of seems like it's left up between Ty Lue and Mike D'Antoni. And as we know, the ownership group here loves Mike D'Antoni. He was a part of our staff under Brett Brown the year when we won 10 games before he went off to Houston. And it kind of just seems like this is Mike D'Antoni's job to lose now. He kind of seems like he's at the forefront of the candidacy now. And then just a few days ago, we go and hear another rumor now that Mike D'Antoni could be brought here in the event to try to use him as like a bait piece to lure James Harden to Philly, either now via trade or in a few years via free agency. We're going to talk about this on both sides. Let me just first and foremost say that I think that Mike D'Antoni deserves a ton of credit for kind of unlocking the key to James Harden's door, turning him into that prolific scorer, making him that MVP James Harden, and I think he did a heck of a job. And we really got to see that new and improved James Harden, and he's made a lot of money because of it. I will say that. They got close to the championship a couple times, never got there though, and that's kind of my biggest flaw, right? Look, James Harden is a prolific scorer. He's one of my favorite players to watch because he's just amazing what he can do, back and forth, step backs, whatever, just creating his own space, isolation with the basketball. But I've been saying this for years, and I'm telling you, Mike D'Antoni and James Harden's system will never, ever win an NBA championship. I'm telling you, Mike D'Antoni has gotten close. He's developed guys, but at the end of the day, his inability to adjust with defense, his inability to utilize key post players will keep them from winning a championship. You saw it. Look, James Harden and Mike D'Antoni are a great regular season match. But when you get to the playoffs, when you need a key big man, look at the teams right now that are in the playoffs, right? I'm telling you, it goes so underrated with how the game is transitioning today. But at the end of the day, you need a big man that will live up to his role, or at least will step up and be a force on the defensive end and snag rebounds. Look right now, the Nuggets have Nikola Jokic. The Lakers have AD. The Heat have a rising star in Bam Adebayo. You really need that type of center when you want to succeed in the playoffs. And we saw Mike D'Antoni this year. They went ahead and traded Clint Capella. They went all small ball, and they met up against a team like the Lakers and couldn't do anything with them. It just does not work in the playoffs. So there are a few reasons why I do not want this matchup here in Philadelphia with James Harden and Mike D'Antoni. But let me first say, I would love James Harden to come as a big three of Ben Simmons, James Harden, and Joel Embiid, but I would not necessarily like it with Mike D'Antoni. Now, first off, I think this is a lot of talk just because the owners are trying to shadow the fact that they love Mike D'Antoni and they want to get him here no matter what. I think the ownership group is in a ton of trouble, honestly. But first and foremost, let me tell you this. This is my personal opinion. If James Harden comes to Philadelphia, you will see the departure immediately of either Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. And I'm telling you, it kind of leans more towards Joel Embiid. Mike D'Antoni, as I said in the other video, cannot get accustomed to using stud big men in the NBA. It's not his style, and it prevents him from being an NBA championship level head coach. That's one. And if you're looking at it from the Rockets side, right, say we would go and make a trade with the Rockets, well, they're going to prefer Ben Simmons, a guy who can play a ton of different positions, who can defend a ton of positions, and can play up-tempo, and is 24 years old and has a bright future in the NBA and can really do anything right now besides shoot the ball. They would prefer that guy over a 26-year-old Joel Embiid who has had a lot of injuries, and, you know, it seems like his time is kind of limited. It maybe to 5 years left in the NBA, in the tank, man. So that's number one. I don't think we would be able to attract James Harden here without pulling off some type of blockbuster trade. Maybe we send Ben Simmons to the Rockets. A third team takes Russell Westbrook, something in that nature. But if Mike D'Antoni comes here, he's going to want to send Joel Embiid to the Rockets and bring Harden and Simmons and play this up-tempo offense. You're probably going to see Ben Simmons playing center, which is insane. I think that takes away a lot of what he's able to do, and I don't know how much that would benefit him in the future. That's number one. Number two, and this kind of leans on what I was saying earlier, it's Mike D'Antoni and James Harden. They're not a playoff type of style offense. Like, it's not going to work. If we took all these years now, and yes, they were close that one time in Game 7, but if we look at it as a whole, James Harden really has kind of dissipated in the playoffs, and it's not worked, and it's not his fault, but it just speaks to the system, right? Isolation ball, shooting 50, 60 threes a night, Harden taking 30 shots a night. It's not going to be consistent. There's no team in the NBA. They'll look at their roster. They surrounded their team with tons of shooters. That's all they had was shooters. You had Covington playing the center position, and they still could not consistently shoot threes that well in order to win a championship on a consistent basis. It's just not going to happen. Now, if you bring James Harden to Philadelphia right now, well, who do we have? That is our biggest problem. We need shooting. So you would have to see a whole of the roster. You would need to see a lot of different construction. If you look at James Harden's roster with the Rockets and they couldn't shoot enough, what is he going to do here in Philadelphia? That's my second point. Number three, and this kind of leads into what I was just saying, is the money. James Harden is owed $41 million next year, $44 million the following year, and then after that, he has a player option. So everybody thinks he's going to be a free agent in 2 years, but if you look at it, his player option is $47 million. The Rockets are not that good in terms of constructing these contracts. There's no way at age 33, a James Harden who's, in terms of the numbers, has just passed his prime, that he's going to turn down $47 million. We brought in a 32-year-old Al Horford, and we saw what he did. Now, I'm not saying James Harden would just fall off the face of the earth. I'm not saying James Harden would instantly forget how to shoot, but he's not going to be as effective as he is right now. So I feel like it would have to come down to a trade. And again, we would have to trade one of our star pieces. And I want to see those two under a new head coach. But say we wait, and we say we wait 2 years, and then he opts into his player option. Then we wait another year. Well, guess what? Joel Embiid's contract expires the same year as James Harden. Tobias Harris has one more year, I think, after that, and then his contract expires. Al Horford's contract expires the same year as James Harden and Joel Embiid, so you would have to move these pieces before, which is already a tall task at hand, and then you would have to find the cap and find the players available to bring in a ton of shooters around James Harden, and overall, it just seems like a tough test. I feel like this is a lot of noise just to try to support the decision to bring D'Antoni in. But in the end, I'm still scared about what he's going to do if he comes in here with a guy like Joel Embiid. And overall, I love James Harden. If there's any way possible that you could get these three together in a big three with Ben, James Harden, and Joe, and bring in maybe a shooter or two, I would be all for it. But again, with D'Antoni's system, you're going to see Joel Embiid kind of whittled out of there, and then what is going to happen with a guy like Ben Simmons? If we are able to keep him, he's going to have to play this up-tempo 5, and I don't know how that's going to hinge on his career. It's going to be rough. You got a 33-year-old James Harden in a couple years, or you got a 31-year-old James Harden right now, and it's. I feel like I've been seeing the same result from him over and over. Yes, we'll win 50, 60 games, we'll get to the playoffs, but really, what is the end result? Is that team good enough to win a championship? Well, Ben Simmons would have to shoot the ball. Ben Simmons is the one piece that would really improve under D'Antoni's system, right? He would improve as much as possible. But again, I want to see our stars together, and I just do not know how this would kind of impact our team. And when it comes down to it, in terms of the numbers, I don't think we're going to be able to afford all these guys, especially with the cap going up in a couple years. And if you're telling me we're going to sign James Harden in the last year of a Joel Embiid contract, well, I don't think we're going to end up re-signing Embiid after that, and we might have to use him as trade bait that season. So there's a lot that goes into this. Overall, what I will say is that I just don't view this as a realistic situation when you start to break everything everything down, yeah, I would love James Harden along these two guys, but I just don't know if that is going to happen. And then when you start to look at it, I start to view it as, well, couldn't we get a younger forward in the draft? Couldn't we pick somebody else up, maybe another star that would cost less than $47 million, that would be able to put up similar production and be a better complement, right? Elton Brand wants to complement Ben and Joe better. I don't want Mike D'Antoni to come here because I don't think our personnel fits what he will try to do. Do I think James Harden likes Mike D'Antoni? Yeah, I do think he does like him. And I do think Mike D'Antoni could potentially pull James Harden. But looking at all the strings attached, I'm telling you, it's not as perfect as a lot of people would think. James Harden, I would love him here. I would love him. I would support him. But again, I don't think this is the right move for the Sixers right now. You guys let me know what you're thinking down below. Would James Harden be the right piece for the Philadelphia 76ers? Would we be able to form a big three here? What else would have to happen in order for this to go through? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect.